Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy, here for Whimsy Stamps. Thank you so much for joining me again this morning. Today we are staying on the Halloween theme, and I pulled out my Zombie Boy stamp set. I love it. And I also have the Build-A-Graveyard die set as well as the Dotty 6x9 stencil. And we put it all together and we're going to jump right on into it. So I pulled out my Canson XL watercolor paper and I trimmed down a piece. And as you can see, I am taping it down to an old cutting board. And then I just need to make sure that I have enough paper because sometimes I don't. I get a little carried away sometimes. So I pull out my brand new Kuretake Zig watercolor palette because I just want to do something a little calm. I need some calm right now. So that's kind of the direction this one took. So I'm just doing some simple watercolor painting, just literally laying down lines of color, not really even blending so much, but the water that I covered the cardstock with, or the watercolor card with in the very beginning, is doing its job by kind of allowing those colors to blend on their own. So literally just laying down lines of color going from green to yellow, yellow to orange to red. And this will be the background for all four of the tags that I'm making. So it's just a nice simple color gradient. Went back over it a couple of times just to kind of deepen and enrichen the colors, if you will. But I have to say I am loving this watercolor palette. The colors are so rich and creamy. There's not a lot of granulation, but there's enough, because I like some granulation, but sometimes you don't want that. So I feel like this is a nice mix for those who are interested. So I set that aside to dry. I did hit it with my heat tool for a little bit, but really just wanted it to dry on its own. And that's when I pulled out the 6x9 Dotty stencil, and I used some Crackle paste to just put right through that stencil, and this is going to be so much fun. I feel like the white of the Crackle paste it brightened the whole thing up. So you can have Halloween and not be dark and moody. You can still be bright and fun. So I set that aside to dry again. I stamped out my zombie boys, and the only thing I'm showing is the coloring of the eyes, because sometimes the eyes tell the story. And so for zombies, their eyes are, well, they're vacant, right? So I wanted to go with yellow, and so I have a really pale yellow that I laid down on all the eyes, and then a little bit more of like a sunshiny orangey yellow just to make it a little bit darker. And then here's where I have the yellow green, and I put that in the corners. Now wherever I put the darker color kind of implies that that's the direction the eyes are looking. So I'm going just wherever I want the eyes to be looking, laying down the darker yellow, and then right on the edge of that area, putting that green. And then I just blend. Now I could have even gone with a darker green. I chose not to. I could have put some red in there to give them like a bloodshot look. They could have been dark black eyes or gray eyes or a creepy green. You can use any color. The idea is that that whole eye is just vacant. And you use just the 3 blends or 4 blends, whatever you wanted to do, just to blend it all out, and so that you have that darker gradient in the direction that you want the eyes to be looking. So real quick, I just did some die cutting using the Build a die set. So I die cut my frames out of black cardstock, and I die cut the backgrounds out of the watercolor and stenciled background. And then I'm kind of auditioning everything, making sure I like the colors, everything is mixing and matching. And the hardest part was what you just saw with the foam tape, because the frames are very narrow, and I have a bunch of rolls of this 1/8 inch foam tape, and I'm so glad that I do, because that was the trick to make these work well. So I left that in because that's just real life, because my hands get stuck. They got down into the tape on both sides of the tag that I was working on, but I fixed it. I made it work. We took the time, we cleaned things up, And then there they are. They're shaken, shaken. Now in those two, the orange ones, they have a Happy Halloween. It says Happy Halloween. There's a little pumpkin on them. And side note, all of this is from This Calls for Confetti, all the shaker bits, including the Halloween words. And I almost wish that I would have either not used the words or put them in the green. Yeah, the green tombstones, because they would show better. They blend in a little bit too much on the orange, but it is what it is, and we don't throw a fit, and we keep on going. And I have all of my frames down. I have the acetate, I have the foam tape, I have the confetti, and I added there's a little line that kind of cuts out across the bottom. I guess it would be the base of the tombstone, and I added those back in because for some of them they're not going to have the sentiment across that bottom. In fact, for most of them, but I just wanted that space to be filled back in because some of the adhesive was showing too. So I cut out these little tabs from another die set, and to be honest, I don't know which one it came from. I think it was the ATC die set, but they didn't work quite the way I thought that they would, but I made them work. And then I also stamped out the sentiments from the Zombie Boy stamp set, and I just cut them kind of wonky and kind of willy-nilly and put them on just in a way that pleased my eye. And then of course I'm using just some different twines and things from my stash just to kind of finish them off. And I do have some glue on each of them so that they don't come out. So if you're seeing glue there, that's why, because it's still wet. But here they are, all finished. Super easy, super fun, super cute. They did take a long time though, because I chose to make 4. Had I only chosen to make 1, it would not have taken quite as long. Not near as long, in fact. But here they all are, and I had so much fun with them. I really wanted something a little more simple. I've been doing some really complicated things of late, so happy to do something fun and not quite as, I don't know, complicated. But guys, tell me what you think of these. I love the zombie boys. Any way that they're used, any way that they're colored. Like, he's not colored great, but I still think he looks great because of the design of the stamp. So, as always, I thank you guys for spending some time with me here on the Whimsy Stamps channel. If you would like this video, subscribe if you're not already a member of the Whimsy Crafty Tribe. We'd love to see you over on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all the fun places, and I will love to chat with you downstairs in the comments, of course. And until next time, mwah! This is Nancy, the Handy Scandy for Whimsy, and I am out.